19,400, just above 19,400 is where the Nifty is holding up for now. Andrew Holland is with us, Chief Executive Officer at Avendus Capital Public Markets Alternate Strategies. Andrew, good to have you with us here. Thank you very much. Go where the momentum is. That's, some not your philosophy, but I mean, that's worked for you. So where are you finding momentum?
Not sure we're finding momentum anywhere at the moment, Prashant. It's kind of one of these markets where we keep kind of flipping on the kind of negative to recovering. But I think that still the risks are to the downside for a number of factors. And I think we get lulled into this. I don't know how to say it, but in terms of all the China woes means that everyone loves India. Which is obviously benefiting kind of flows, but that could change. I mean, the Chinese authorities have really just haven't used any kind of bazookas yet to fire the economy up, and that's causing a lot of kind of concerns and kind of reduction in confidence from businesses to the investors. In that market. But if they do something, instead of using a pea shooter, they use a bazooka, then that obviously could have a very, very strong positive impact for not just for the economy, but investor thinking at the moment, which is, I would say, probably at its all-time low. So we're benefiting from that, but it's not enough of a catalyst to get our markets higher, right? So we have our own concerns about the monsoons, El Nino, and if you look at the kind of import-export figures, it's starting to drift down. So there's a bit of worry about the economy slowing now, which is okay, but I don't think that's taken into account in the valuations, which are still around 20 times PE compared to the rest of emerging markets. So we'll benefit from the China negativity, but it can't be just that one factor which is helping us.
Okay, by the way, the market is very quiet actually, not too much action happening in early morning trade. The Nifty Bank is quiet as well with just a bit of gains, but a couple of stocks do deserve mention. Adani Power is now up almost about 5% and Zomato is coming back, so 3% higher on Zomato. These platform companies have actually done quite well, and Lemon Tree Hotels at a fresh 52-week high. Andrew, good morning and thanks for joining in on the show. So you're saying that this is a market where there are not enough catalysts for the market to go up, and there is a bit of worry about the economy slowing down. So what do you do at a time like this? Do you, in your asset allocation strategy, do you move away from equities and into fixed income, into debt for a bit, considering we have these challenges upon us?
No, I don't think you need to take. For investors, obviously they can take a call in terms of that they're getting good yields in fixed income, and that's where you've been seeing a lot of investors shift money from in the short term away from equities. So as I said, there's no real catalyst. But we've maintained throughout the kind of past year or so that it's not the index that you necessarily should look at. It's the themes below the index which you should play, and we talked about these many times, and a lot of them have done very well, but to the point where there's not, even in those kind of areas, the valuations of and the share prices have moved quite quickly to capture some of that excitement for not just for the short term but for the longer term in those sectors. So that's where we're all kind of trying to find new areas. New companies, which will beat the index handsomely, and it's becoming a little bit more tough at this point because the overall kind of slowdown that we're starting to see is just starting to play through in the commentary by companies as well. So it's something I'm not overly concerned about, but it's something that will just take the edge off our market. In the very short term. But so I don't think you need to do so much asset allocation between debt and equity, but I think a lot of people did at the end of at the back end of the year, right, in March, when the taxation changed.
Okay, all right. Hi, Andrew. Good morning. Nigel on this side. Andrew, when you joined us the last time around, ITC, that demerger was just announced. And from a longer perspective, obviously, it's quite positive. But that one has pulled back close to 10-12% from the peak, just in the last 1 month or so. View on ITC? from year on? Because that's been one of the big outperformers actually in the past 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, again, it's kind of one of those where the expectations were very high. Obviously, the hope was, well, the fact that they are de-emerge in the hotel business, but it's going to take time, right? I think it's kind of a 12-month process. So if that's the case, then, you know, that kind of short-term excitement of, creating value, it just goes away. And I think that's what we've seen also, say, with Reliance more in the short term. You know, you create that value, it's in the price, and then, investors are waiting for the next catalyst, which is probably a little bit of time away. So, again, nothing to worry about in either of the stocks, but, you know, that short-term kind of run that you saw in both of them was really buoyed by the fact that there was some demerger kind of news coming out, which was valuations, as you know, were kind of a lot higher. I think our expectations were a lot higher than probably reality is.
Look at Zomato, which is up 4%, by the way. Stocks at about 94, and it's the second largest volume-led gainer across the board. The first is, of course, Adani Power with that big move, but Zomato is now at the day's high on large volumes. Patel Engineering, I mean, actually smaller and smaller names, right? I mean, Patel Engineering is up 3.5, big volumes. It's a number 4 with volumes. There is Birla Cable out of the blue, 9% move. Again, you know, for a stock like Birla Cable, volumes are large at this point in the day. Look at Moripun Laboratories, 6%. I mentioned Jupiter Wagons earlier. Bajaj Electricals is up about 4%. Voltamp is up 5%. So you're kind of rotating into lower and lower, in terms of the market cap curve. Talbros Auto, it's also done very, very well. It's up 100% this year. It's got a 8%, 9% move after the last few days of sideways kind of consolidation. So that is, again, I mean, but, you know, volumes are very small. So keep that in mind. So we're talking smaller and smaller. So, you know, just that point, Andrew, right? You have to go down and then find smaller stuff. So what does that tell you? I mean, you know, once you rotate and rotate and rotate and there's nothing left to rotate into, that hardly happens ever, right? You don't run out of stuff.
Yeah.
But,
You don't, but you could be the last man standing holding the stock when it starts to fall. So that's always a concern, Prashant. Listen, I think there's a few things that we just need to watch out in the near term. And I'm not being overly negative here on India. I'm very constructive in the kind of medium term. But, you know, we got Jackson Hole this week where the Federal Reserve will talk. I think it's going to be the same hawkish self, higher for longer. Bond yields are at 5%. 2-year bond yields in the US are at 5%. The yuan and the Japanese yen keep depreciating. Not good for emerging markets, to my mind. And we're still awaiting a stimulus from China. So, if any of those things don't happen, I think markets are going to be tested in the kind of from September onwards, because there's a lot of hope. In terms of the Goldilocks scenario of a soft landing, which I don't remember ever seeing, and I've been in the market quite a long time, Prashant, as you have as well. And that earnings will be fantastic. Let's see what Nvidia does tomorrow. If that can, any disappointment there will obviously have a big impact on that AI kind of theme play, which is all over the place.
Okay. Well, you know, just before we let you go, I do want your thoughts on what one should do with the auto space now. I ask you because if you notice this month, in the month of August, the auto stocks have started to come off a bit. So Hero Moto, for example, is your biggest loser this month, down 10%. The others as well, right? Bajaj Auto, Maruti are coming off a bit. You think the upcycle has now ended, or would you use this as an opportunity to buy these names?
You know, it's a very good question. I saw an interesting report the other day by a broker saying that discounts on cars have started to increase a lot more significantly than they expected. They weren't calling for a demand slowdown yet, but they were very close to it. So I think it will have to watch and see what those discounts, if they continue to be high, and then see if that's a demand problem, because that's obviously something that the prices might be trying to bake in right now, without the full evidence of being that it's a demand problem. It's maybe just discounts by the dealers to get things moving, but it's a worrying sign.
All right, Andrew, final question before we let you go. A couple of domestic themes have come into play as well, but I think the bigger threat is coming from the globe. So how do you approach some of these companies, the IT space in particular? The last quarter, well, it was more or less a weakish quarter, and visibility for the first half at least isn't really there. But valuation-wise, well, some of them are trading little above their mean, and they have good balance sheets as well, dividend paying. How do you approach the IT space from here?
I think I'd wait another quarter before wanting to kind of have full conviction. And the reason I'm saying that is twofold. One is I still think valuations are not taking into account potential downgrades in the next 2 to 3 months. But there again, I'm still of the view that interest rates will start falling in the US by the back end of the year, and that will be good for the technology stock. So I think we're just a quarter away from putting a more of a buy signal on the IT stocks. I just think there's in the short term there's a few headwinds which will bring the share prices down.
Right, Andrew, as always, great speaking with you. Thanks for joining us on the channel. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
That's Andrew Holland saying there's definitely some caution. Thank you. Some caution in the system prevails for sure. And the Jackson Hole Symposium, which happens on Friday, they're expecting some hawkish talk from Jerome Powell over there. But let's move on. The mid-cap index actually is picking up quite a bit, so don't be fooled by the headline index and the flatline move.